Hi, I'm Logan Medish, and this is High Caliber History. Today's video is going to be a book review, and the book in question is the Colt Walker Revolver, Colt Walker Army Revolver by Charles W. Pate. Pate, if you are a gun book guy, you will probably recognize his name. He is a well-regarded authority in firearms books. He's written a number of them, and this is his most recent book, and it's on a very well-known gun, the Colt Walker. You know, everyone has heard of the Colt Walker. And this isn't a huge book. You'll see it's kind of thin, but this is a must-have for Walker enthusiasts. I would say Walker owners, but most of us will probably never own one of those guns. There have been a number of books written about the Walker over the years, so why another one decades later, and why should you spend your money on something that is thin? Well, we'll delve into this book, we'll take a look at what's going on in the pages of it, and I'll explain just why you should have this book in your library. As I mentioned briefly, this isn't a huge book. There are a number of pages in it, but the actual content number of pages is only 80. And while that may not sound like a lot, but the important thing to remember is quality over content. And there is an exceptional amount of material in here, and it's remarkably well referenced and resourced and cited. Mr. Pate actually, in these 80 pages of information, there are more than 300 endnotes in this book. And it covers a little bit of everything about the Walker in here. Most of us are aware that Captain Samuel Walker from the Texas Rangers helps Sam Colt get this gun designed. 1,000 of them made for the military, another 100 or so made for the civilian market, and maybe 20% of them survive today. Yeah, that's the story in a nutshell, but there is so much more to the story of this book. Or not just the story of this book, but the story of that gun. Sam Colt was kind of a shady shyster. And he was kind of, he was very money driven, obviously, and he knew the money was in the government contracts, and he was lying left, right, and center about things going on with the guns, claiming that they were better than what they actually were. The book has great information on the amount of guns and where they went. So the pages here are where the guns were issued and what happened to them. A number of them were damaged or lost in battle in the Mexican-American War. And it notes what companies those guns went to. It talks about the 2 separate shipments of 500 guns to the military. It talks about issues that Colt had with trying to get the guns shipped where they needed to be. And it is just chock full of primary source material. Charles Pate spent a lot of time in the archives researching this book. And not only does it deal with the guns, but it deals with the accoutrements that were going with the guns. So the bullet molds and the flasks and the wrenches, and how to differentiate between those and the ones made for some of the other guns of similar size and design, like the Dragoons. It goes over presentation walkers, where some of those ended up. It also talks heavily about quite possibly the most controversial presentation walkers, the ones that were supposed to have gone to Captain Walker himself. There's a lot of great information there, and you can make your assumptions from there on your own after reading it. This, like I said, this isn't a long book. It's not a huge read, but it is absolutely chock full of information that you're not going to find anywhere else, unless, of course, you have time to spend in the National Archives and up at the Connecticut State Library and poring over private files and looking through a variety of other books and manuscripts and articles that have been written, and you can try to cobble it all together and get that information for yourself, or you can save yourself some trouble and you can buy this book. It really, really is worth its weight in gold. It is a fantastic book. I was very excited to add it to my library. 80 pages, so it's a fairly quick read. Lots of phenomenal material in the book. So if you're like me and you will never be financially fortunate enough to own an actual Colt Walker, this book's basically the next best thing. It is the most up-to-date and current reference material about the Walker out there. If you're not looking to add a ton more books to your library, to your shelves, because if you're like me, you can see here, and there's ones off camera, the shelves are bursting at the seams. And you don't want to take up a ton more space than you have to, this is the book to get on the Walker. It is the most up-to-date volume that you're going to find, and it takes all of those previous works and condenses them down into something that is concise and to the point, but absolutely fact-packed. And you can't go wrong with this book. So if you're interested in picking up a copy, there will be a link in the description below. If you have a copy, I'd love to hear what you think about it as well, or if this leads you to pick one up. Leave a comment once you get your copy and take a look through it. Love to hear what you think of it. Thanks for tuning into this episode of High Caliber History. I'm Logan Medish, and we'll see you on the next episode.